What's up, Slackers? Welcome back to episode 13 of the Slackcast. I'm Pete Imbesi, here with my buddy Andy Brown, your regular co-hosts. Today we're going to be talking about video games.
Yeah.
That's what we do here.
I know it's going to be a shock to all you out there who are like, oh man, I was looking for all the best techniques about laying on the couch eating potato chips.
I mean, we could talk about that.
Yeah.
Personally, my favorite strategy for that, right, is you lay down, right? But you lay with your arm or your back up against the arm of the couch. So you get like a little bit of leverage.
So you can like sit up and eat.
Yeah. But just not quite sit up because you want to have enough that you can have your beer gut be out long enough to use as a shelf.
Right.
You put the chips right on top. And then you're good. You can play your games, you fucking hang out, whatever.
I personally feel that the best way to eat chips is to put them on a sandwich.
That is a bold play. I had a cheesesteak last night filled with chips.
That sounds good. Did the Bobby Flake crunchify it?
Yeah. It was pretty special.
Add some texture, some flavor. But anyway, video games.
Yeah, anyway, hey guys, this is Slackcast. Every week we talk about video games here. So we're going to start it off like we always do, talking about what we've been playing this week. I'm going to go first.
Okay.
Literally nothing since the last episode that's different. I've gotten to the fucking very end of my passives playthrough on Undertale. I should finish that tonight. Been playing a ton of Overwatch. Been playing Pokemon Showdown. So nothing new to really report. I'm just kind of like taking advantage of the summer slow period to like fill in some gaps and knock some stuff off the back.
Yeah, I feel you. I got a new phone so I can play Pokemon Go now.
Woo! Hashtag Team Valor, bitches!
What up? We here at Slack and Slash are officially Team Valor.
Literally all three of us that are playing are Team Valor.
Okay.
So.
I'm sure that Thompson wouldn't be.
No, but I'll beat him into submission.
Yeah.
And if Spaz picks Team Instinct when he finally gets a smartphone, I'm just going to break his smartphone.
Picking Team Instinct would only be worse than not picking Oko-san.
Speaking of which, that is a fun, just real quick. If you don't know what that is, just Google Oko-san, and you'll have a nice little Easter egg about our next awesome Let's Play series.
We've been playing that. I'm having a lot of fun harassing Spaz during Let's Plays.
Yeah.
Can't wait for those to go live.
Yeah, that's the thing, true. Like, that's a good point. I guess that might be part of the reason I didn't play too much that was exciting this week, is we've been doing a lot of Let's Plays. Like, most of my free time for gaming has been for, like, us playing things, and been playing, got to fool around with the Vive with our buddy Casey, which we'll be showing off for you guys in probably another week. Lots of fun stuff coming.
You're the master of the schedule. Don't look at me like, is it a week, Andy? Like, I don't fucking know.
We're just, I don't know. We'll see. Probably. That's what I would guess.
Okay.
That or one of the two guest spots that we have that are coming up. Yeah, we got all kinds of stuff in the pipeline. So what else? You playing anything else this week?
Kentucky Route Zero, Act 4 came out finally, forever. We'll talk about that a little later. But
yeah,
it's been nice going back and rediscovering a game I love and haven't played in a while.
Awesome. When did that game originally come out?
2013, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Slow burn on those episodes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk more about that in the main topic. So
it's not spoilery if it's just gonna be up there, right?
Yeah, like you already clicked on this knowing that today's topic of the show is episodic games. So spoiler alert. Sorry, in like a couple minutes we're gonna talk about episodic games. So we'll stick a pin in that.
Okay.
Anything else? Same old.
Same old. A little bit of Overwatch, a little bit of League.
Cool. Getting back on that League grind.
Not really.
No.
I don't think I'm done with League, but I'm having one of like my once a year.
Yeah, you're on a break.
Burnouts.
Yeah, no, I get that, dude. I've been playing it every once in a while when I want to play something that's multiplayer, that's like tactical and not going to be over in 10 minutes.
Yeah, I feel that.
So yeah, I'm playing like probably 1 or 2 games a week lately, so I get that. Alright, so move on to the news. It's all this week. So first pick this week is we got a first peek at Sonic Mania back at San Diego Comic-Con a couple days ago, by the time this publishes anyway, which is like a brand new like classic 2D Sonic side-scroller experience. I've heard it compared by people who've played it to like Mega Man 9 and 10. Polygon has like a nice 8-minute gameplay thing that you can go check out right now if you're interested in seeing what it looks like. But I mean, it looks like your classic Sonic 2, Sonic and Knuckles era, but like if it was on the
Saturn was the reference point they gave.
I think it was the Saturn. Yeah,
everything's cleaned up a little bit. It's nice.
Yeah,
it looks real pretty.
Yeah, it looks good. It reminds me a lot of the first Rayman game, which was like one of the last 2D sprite side scrollers that like took advantage of like a higher processing system to make something a little more flashy, but didn't move away from sprites.
Remember when Rayman was like a thing and not just like the background for this Rabbids thing?
Dude, I'm glad it seems like they're slowly bringing that franchise back though, because like the last 2 that they did for consoles were really good. And I always liked Rayman. Rayman was one of the first games I ever beat, actually.
Really?
On the PlayStation 1.
Rayman was legit.
Yeah. It's great side-scrolling series.
Yeah.
Take it back to Sonic. It's being worked on by this guy named Christian Whitehead, who is the man responsible for porting Sonic 1 and 2 to like mobile and PC a couple times. So he's like known for taking these classic games and giving them kind of like the widescreen treatment without like losing fidelity. So he's working on that with Pagoda West Games and Headcanon. So, looks pretty cool. It looks like it's going to have a mix of brand new levels, as well as, like, some classic Sonic levels. Like, we saw the Green Hill Zone, but it's kind of, like, remixed with some new enemies and items from, like, later Sonic games. Like, we saw the Flame Bubble from Sonic 3 in the first level. So, it looks interesting.
Yeah, it looks fun.
Too early to say.
Gotta go fast.
Yeah.
Etc.
But it might, like, actually be the Sonic game that Sonic fans have been looking for. So, something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah.
Definitely check out the gameplay video if you're interested in it. Alright, so moving on to number 2. We got some big Nintendo news. We got...
It's not that big Nintendo.
We have a couple little things of Nintendo.
Little things. It's a slow news week, guys.
Yeah.
Forgive us.
Yeah, I meant more that it's like a big chunk of Nintendo shit.
Yeah. Half our news is Nintendo.
Yeah, because, it's the week of San Diego Comic-Con, so no one's talking about video games this week. So, Nintendo has officially delayed Pokemon Go Plus, which is the little Pokemon Go wristwatch thing that you guys have probably seen. The reason they gave for it is that, like, much like the game itself, the demand for it was overwhelming, and they didn't want to have, like, a similar... They didn't say
they didn't want to do the amiibo thing?
Right, but that seems to be the impetus behind it, is that they didn't want there to be scalping and, like, just an inordinate amount of people not able to use this system.
Have they said, like, what it's gonna be yet, though?
Like how it works?
How it's gonna work?
Yeah, essentially, it is gonna just directly hook to the game via Bluetooth, I believe, and it will allow you to play the game without having the app open on your phone. So, like, it'll let you know if there's Pokemon nearby, and you'll be able to, like, engage them, and then it'll open it up in the app.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's just a means of you being able to play without having to have it open 24/7.
Okay, and, like, draining your data and your battery and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and, like, if you want to, like, use your phone for anything besides Pokemon Go, but you want to still be able to be engaged.
But you want to still walk around and be a Pokemon master.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
cool.
so they delayed it just because they want more. So it's supposed to be coming out in September now. No word on when there'll be a new batch of pre-orders, but I'm assuming that those will be coming up in probably a couple months once they figure out how many more they're going to make.
Yep.
Unless they're not going to put out another round of pre-orders, and maybe they'll just actually have some in stores. We'll see.
That would be crazy.
Either or, if you're anything like me and we're kind of like waiting to see if you gave a shit about Pokemon Go before you bought one, you'll be in luck. So it's a good thing. Seen a lot of people complaining about it when it's a very pro-consumer move, which is most of the people I've seen.
Weird.
It's
why you gotta wait?
It's just funny because most of the people bitching are people that do not have pre-orders. Yep. So I'm like, you wouldn't have gotten one anyway. Were you going to buy a $300 scalped one? No. Then shut up and wait 2 months.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway. So next piece of Nintendo news, Nintendo, in their standard fashion, put out their quarterly financial reports. There's a couple interesting bits of information from it, but we're not going to go through the whole thing because otherwise we'd just literally be unpacking a PDF that you can go find on Reddit.
Like, Nintendo made this much money in handheld games.
Yeah.
Nintendo lost this much money in Wii U.
And, things like X game came out, it underperformed, like Star Fox Zero. X game is coming out, we assume it will do really well, Pokemon Sun and Moon. So, it's a lot of stuff like that, but what's interesting about it is Nintendo also usually gives a lot of information about kind of what their plans are for the future and, like, moving forward on kind of, like, big picture stuff. The headline that we pulled from it was that, now this is a quote, Nintendo will be, quote, continuously introducing smart device apps going forward that will, quote, increase the synergistic effect on Nintendo's dedicated game system. So, that's a statement that by itself doesn't really mean anything.
It could mean, like, a bunch of different things. It could be, like, more Pokemon Go stuff because they're assuming that Pokemon Go is going to drive interest in Pokemon, which will drive sales for Sun and Moon.
Right. And 3DS.
And the 3DS in general. Or it could just be stuff like, oh, there's a mobile app that'll let you, do all the Street Pass functions that the 3DS has, but in a way that makes sense in America.
Right.
Or, like, you can put your Pokemon team on your phone and then just have battles over NFC with people around you.
Or it could even be as simple as something as, like, them... Like, I don't know if they ever actually did this, but I know for years they've been talking about making a Miiverse app. I don't know if they ever actually made a Miiverse app.
That would probably make sense. Or, like, Miitomo, if that was a thing.
Yeah, right. And, like, something, more things like that have synergy with their consoles. Yeah. That's what I think is the interesting thing about this statement, right? Is, like, synergistic effect on their dedicated game systems. I think you're definitely spot on insofar, like, the idea of, like, Pokemon Go interacting with your 3DS for the sake of Sun and Moon. Like, maybe you can... transfer, like, that's how you get Kanto Pokemon or something like that, like early game or just something weird like that, who knows, maybe it's items, maybe it's whatever, maybe you can get items in Pokemon Go because you're playing Sun and Moon, like, who the fuck knows, but it seems as though what they're saying is we're dedicated to making more mobile apps that are going to be both games and not games that will interact with our consoles.
Right.
So that's interesting, to say the least.
Interesting. It's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Probably a smart move for them. Because it seems as though their limited forays into the mobile space have been pretty effective so far.
We'll see when they ruin Fire Emblem, the mobile app.
That, to me, right, is how they handle things like that is going to be the big deal for me on whether this is a good move or not.
Yep.
Like, Pokemon Go, they had nothing to do with the development of it, so it could be a fluke. But I think... Excuse me. I think that's the perfect example of how they need to handle these mobile iterations of their franchises. And that, like, Pokemon Go is distinctly its own experience.
Yeah.
And that it's not an experience that could ever replace or take away from, like, a real Pokemon game.
Right.
And that's what I think, like, Fire Emblem Mobile and Animal Crossing Mobile, like, that's what they need.
I hope it's just Fire Emblem Go and I can run around throwing Pokeballs at Marth.
Just run around, like, finding real people and making them mate so that you can, like, control their genetically, like, perfect children so that you can have the best army that the world's ever seen.
Sounds like Fire Emblem.
Yep, sounds like Fire Emblem Go.
Fire Emblem Go, literally just porn, but you're the director.
Waifu porn. Like Pokemon Go, but with waifus and husbandos. So yeah, it's something to think about. We'll talk more about it when there's more updates.
So if you, moving on.
Yeah.
If you backed Yooka-Laylee, the new platformer from the guys who made Banjo-Kazooie...
And Donkey Kong Country.
And Donkey Kong Country, you can open the toy box July 28th, which has already passed, and play their custom-built, spoiler-free taste that looks just like a small little pre-alpha tech demo.
Yeah. What's interesting about it is it looks like Yuka and Laylee are done. Like, they look like final textured models.
But everything else does not.
It's just nothing. It's just like straight squares and blocks and stuff, just so you can like feel how the platforming works. It seems like, which is cool. I'm into the fact that they're doing that. I'm kind of upset we can't try it ourselves, but it looks cool. If you're interested in Yooka-Laylee, which if you're a fan of 3D platformers or Banjo-Kazooie or Rare from the 90s or anything, like you should be interested in this game because they literally like got the band back together for this one.
It definitely looks good, and I say that as someone with no real nostalgic connection to Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, just for context.
Yeah, like I'm playing it for the first time on Rare Replay. It's still a lot of fun. It's the Nintendo 64 like remasters have never really aged well, and Banjo-Kazooie's no exception to that. But it's still fun.
It's a good game.
Yeah,
that game is, I think, one of the few from that era that actually like holds up. Like it's not. Like, to your point, nothing from that era holds up as good as it was when it was new, because, like, it was ineffective. A lot of things were ineffective in terms of, like, control scheme and, like, how to handle a camera and stuff like that. But I do think that's one of the few games from that era that is, like, still worth playing today.
Yeah, I'm having fun with it. I don't want to knock the game.
Oh, yeah, I didn't assume you were trying.
Yeah, no, it's just, like, it hasn't aged particularly well in the way that not most, but like the hits on the SNES have aged a lot better than the N64 hits.
Totally. And like, because side scrollers make sense and made sense.
Yeah.
Made sense.
It's like, I don't think we're ever gonna see a call for what if we just made another one like it was on the N64, like with Sonic Mania or Mega Man 9 or whatever.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants that experience again.
No, you're totally right. And I think, like, that's what ukulele is, but it is like a, let's take that and do it modern and good.
Right.
So, like, I hope it does that. I really hope it nails that.
I really hope it nails that and isn't a episodic game.
Segues.
Yeah.
So, moving on to the topic of discussion for this week. We're talking episodic games. Love them, hate them. Andy Brown, you were the one who suggested this topic, so why don't you take the kids on a walk?
Okay, so episodic games, for those of you not familiar, is it's a model that Telltale sort of pioneered and are the masters of, where you can buy the season pass or you can buy episode 1 of an X chunk game. It's a 2 to 3 hours of, generally these days it's in narrative driven content.
Right.
So it's like you play the 2 to 3 hours of the story game and then wait a month, 2 months, 2 years for the next episode to come out. And in my experiences, it works great when you have it on a good schedule. If you know every 3 weeks there's going to be a new episode of Minecraft Story Mode out. It's fine. It's I played my little chunk. It's nice, I don't have to dedicate my whole life to playing this game, just one night every couple weeks.
Yeah, that's something I really like about it, is it is a nice kind of bite-sized experience.
Yeah.
You know? And you always know that. You know going into it, you're going to beat a Telltale episode in one sitting kind of thing.
Yeah, it's there's nothing worse than not finishing a Telltale episode and then having to pick back up.
I hate that. Yeah, I won't even do it. I'll just restart. I've only ever done that, once. And I was just no, not about this. Just going to remake my, 20 minutes worth of decisions and do this shit right.
And there was one time I, fell asleep towards the end of an episode just because I couldn't stay awake anymore. I paused it and I was just I'm just going to take a nap and then I'll finish this in a couple minutes. Just slept for the whole night. It was 3 in the morning and I shouldn't have been playing anyway.
Yeah.
And then I just picked up. I was oh, this feels wrong.
Yeah. It's weird. It is very much a one-sitting kind of thing.
They're definitely designed to be played just straight through.
Absolutely. So we're already kicking this off by talking a lot about Telltale. And I would agree with you. Telltale was the pioneer, and I think they are the best example of the dev that does that. That's their thing, and they nail it pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
But you had another game that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
We brought it up earlier.
Kentucky Route Zero is a game that I love dearly, and I'm about to say some horrible things about its schedule and release. But don't let that take away from it. It's a game that I really think you should play.
Again, Andy likes this game, so just...
Okay, so I spent $25 buying the season pass for this game in the winter of 2013, Christmas 2013 to be exact. I was still a senior in college. Acts 1 and 2 were out then. I waited... They said when I bought it, Acts 3, 4, and 5 will be released at various points throughout the next year or so. We'll give you concrete release dates when we have them. Act 3 came out with no warning in May.
Of 2014.
Of 2014. It is now July of 2016. Act 4 came out last week. It's been 2 years, 26 months since there was new content for this game. Just shout out to the devs, sort of, for remaining a little bit communicative during all the abuse they got from the internet over this is vaporware, it's never gonna happen, you wasted your money, do a credit card chargeback. And they were very much, no, I promise we're still working on it, things are just hard, and we don't want to release a shitty product.
Game design is hard.
Game design is hard, and we thought this would go quicker, but it's writing, and they tweet out stuff this is what we're working on now, I promise this is coming, and it's after a certain point, though, that only goes so far. It's just shit or get off the pot, you know?
Yeah, it does come to a point where I feel and this is kind of it is a double-edged sword, though, because you said, when you are getting all that criticism, you do need to respond to it.
Yeah.
But I am one who's inclined to say, always, you should treat games with a shit or get off the pot mentality, where it's unless you have something to show me, don't fucking talk about it at all.
Yeah.
You know, and it's I get it where it is there's a 2-year gap, you do need to communicate and be we promise we're not stealing your money. But I do have my questions of like what happened there. You're like, obviously something went wrong.
Yeah.
And like they probably, what's probably the better or the real answer here is like they shouldn't have sold like any of it or pushed the whole like it's gonna come out on this schedule unless they had all of the like writing done and they just had to worry about making the game, you know?
Right.
Because it's not like oh yeah, it'll be fine, we'll come up with the end of the story in like a year. It's like, you sure? Like,
yeah, I feel that. It's like, I don't know, I really liked it, and I haven't gotten to like play Act 4 yet because I went to a new computer, or like not a new computer, but my computer got fixed. I lost all my data, and the game doesn't have Steam cloud saves.
Oh, so you're like replaying episodes
so
1, 2, and 3?
I'm replaying 1 through 3. It's like I'm taking my time with it, you know.
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
You'll probably have to wait 2 more years for the next episode. So
I fucking hope not, man.
Kentucky Route Zero, Episode 5, 2019.
Episode 5, launch title for the NX.
Well, that'll be next year.
Kentucky Route Zero VR.
We decided to scrap all the work we've done. We're gonna just remake the entire series from the ground up in VR. Episode 5 will be out in 2025.
Full voice acting.
God. Speaking of which, that's actually a great segue to one of my favorite episodic games of the last few years. That was not a Telltale, which is Life is Strange. It is Life is Strange. I loved Life is Strange. I know you never got a chance. You fooled around with it a little bit.
I played around with it a little bit. And I played episode 1 not too long ago, now that it's free again.
Uh-huh.
Or not again, but like...
Now that it's free.
Yeah, they made episode 1 free. It's like, if you haven't played this game already, try it, and you'll like it, and you'll buy it. And I'm probably going to buy it.
Cool. I'm glad to hear that. I'd really like to hear what you think about it. Because that is very much a love it or hate it kind of game.
Gotta say, I'm not a huge fan of like the time rewinding thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Just like as a mechanic, or?
Yeah, just as a mechanic, it makes the choice feel less significant when you can play around with the immediate aftermath of it.
So, okay. It's impossible for me to make a case for why I don't feel that way without spoiling the game for you. I agree with you in regards to episode 1. They play with that mechanic in a way that's really interesting, like, with kind of like the ideas of like predestination and fate and things like that.
Okay.
So it becomes a lot more engaging.
Okay.
So I'd be interested to reopen that topic maybe like when you finish the game. But yeah, I can definitely see that criticism now. But yeah, that was a game where it was very love it or hate it. Like, so many people loved that game and gave it, like, Game of the Year nods and stuff like that. And then an equal number of people seemed to, like, criticize the writing and, you know, like, so I heard, like, similar complaints from very different people, where they were just, like, kind of criticizing the characters and the way that they were written and stuff like that. And I, like, just couldn't disagree more. I really loved the characters, thought it was very charming overall.
Okay.
And did one of my favorite things in games, which is just, like, give me the ability to relate to someone that I have nothing in common with. You know, it's like, I'll never be an 18-year-old girl.
That's what you think, Pete.
But I felt that way
What if
inside.
I told you?
I'm very pro the episodic game, but I actually think Life is Strange is a great example of how it can also have pitfalls. Because I think episode 1 of Life is Strange is good, but it's not the strongest part of that game by any means. And I remember I started playing the game about a year ago.
Okay.
I played it. It was at E3 2015. They had some people there being interviewed by some of the guys at Kinda Funny, which is my favorite YouTube channel. And that was the first time I ever...
We're your favorite YouTube channel.
Subscribe, like, share, subscribe, // So I had never heard of the game before, and Greg Miller and from Kinda Funny and Alexa Ray Carrera from GameSpot sat down and talked with the developer and the main voice actress about the game, and I just thought it was really interesting. You know, it was like just the idea of like, on its face, like a game where I get to play a teenage girl is like a thing that like, anything that is like, you're not playing a white male with a gun, I'm like, alright, let's listen. Like, let's hear how that might be interesting.
Hey man, Call of Battlefield BioShock line.
Well, hey, and like I'm gonna put a pin in what I'm saying real quick. There's nothing wrong with playing a game where you're a white male protagonist. I love plenty of games with white male protagonists.
Mario, for one.
But there's literally a jillion of them. So whenever I get to play a game where it's like, hey, here's this narrative-driven game where you play a teenage girl in high school who reconnects with her best friend. It's like, that sounds awesome. It's like, that is super different. And I'm interested in having that experience. So I played the first episode of Life is Strange, like, right after Words, right? Like, I saw that, jumped on Steam, the Steam summer sale was going on, it was on sale, I got the season pass, and I played through the first episode that day, I think, and I was into it. I was like, oh, this is really cool, I definitely want to check out episode 2. I started episode 2 and got, like, a little way into it, and then just kind of, like, fell out, you know? It was kind of like, I guess I'll just wait until it's done, and I'll come back and play it again. And then I remember episode 5 came out, however long after that fact, and I was like, oh fuck, I like forgot about this game. And then I sat down and played it in a week, like non-stop, and just got through it, and like totally fell in love with it. So it's one of those things where I feel like the whole episodic thing can be really great, but like I almost missed out on one of my favorite experiences from the last few years because the first episode didn't immediately be like, you need to go play episode 2. You know, it piqued my interest, certainly, but it wasn't enough of a cliffhanger of, like, start episode 2 right now.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. Episodic storytelling in the way that games are using it is super weird to me. Where it's like, the way television uses episodic storytelling, unless you're like HBO with Game of Thrones or something, is generally like, we're telling a larger narrative, but we're also telling, like, a smaller specific narrative.
Right.
Whereas games use it as, we're going to tell you the first part of this one larger narrative. It's like Act 1 doesn't have its own
conclusion.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it's more like, well, I guess to your point, like something like an HBO series, or like even something like a Netflix series, or like even like a comic, or something like that, where there is less self-control, or self-contained stuff.
I mean, a lot of comics are still pretty good about, like, self-contained stuff.
Definitely superhero books, that's for sure.
It's like...
You see a lot of stuff from Image that's like that, though.
Telltale used to do... like, Telltale's Sam & Max games are a great example of what I think episodic storytelling could be, even in a not-so-narrative-focused game, where it's like, the Telltale's 3 seasons of Sam & Max are, like, the episodes are, like, 3 hours long each, and it's like, you're Sam & Max, freelance police, and you go solve this case, and, like, an overarching narrative seems to form about, like, how they're connected,
right.
And, like, then the last episode is the big climax of all that, and that's cool.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I like that idea. Like, that is, like, like you said, a little more akin to, like, how television handles it. And, I mean, episodic storytelling is kind of, like, that's what TV does.
Yeah.
So, there's definitely some room for growth there.
There's room for growth, and there's... To get back to what you were saying about if, like, episode 1 doesn't grab you with its, like, cliffhanger that makes you want to go play episode 2 right now, I don't know that cliffhangers work after the fact.
Like when you play it all in a row?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. That's a valid criticism.
Yeah, and so you're stuck in this weird, like, pitfall of, oh, I'm going to wait till the whole game's out so I don't get Kentucky Route Zero'd. Or, well, that seems like a weird place to just have a cliffhanger and then resolve it immediately.
Yeah, no, and you're right. Like, these are the caveats of, like, pacing in episodic gaming, though.
Yeah.
You know, it is a pretty interesting problem.
It's like a huge chunk of your player base is going to play it after it's all done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, grab it for $10 on a Steam sale.
And you kind of need to have it work for both of those audiences. Like, it should work as its own, like, if you are going to take it in pieces, episodes, but it should also work as a complete
Because, like, nobody's introduction to a Telltale is going to be like, oh, they're putting out, you know, X, Y, or Z episodic series. I should check that out. It's going to be, oh, I heard The Walking Dead's great. I heard The Wolf Among Us is great. Somebody recommended Tales from the Borderlands to me, but I don't play Borderlands. Should I try it anyway?
Right. Or it's going to be that you already have, like, you know, I like this, so I will play it. Like, I am a fan of The Walking Dead, so I'll go find this Walking Dead game. Whereas, like, Life is Strange doesn't have that because it's not a licensed thing. It's just its own story, and, like, that game doesn't need to be episodic at all, but it super works as an episodic game.
But that's how Telltale did it, and it's a game in Telltale's mold.
Yeah. I mean, it is.
And so it's episodic.
Yeah, it's hey, like, light game mechanics, big story, picking dialogue,
Yeah.
branching narratives, you know.
That's fine. Like, it's not... I don't want to give all the credit to Telltale and say, like, that's the thing only Telltale should do.
No, because it isn't.
It isn't.
Because it did work for Life is Strange. It's like
Yeah.
episode 1 is the only one that doesn't nail the episodic thing.
Yeah.
You know, and I think you'll probably be inclined to agree with me when you finish 2, because every other episode ends with a perfect, like, this caps off this storyline and lays the threads for what happens next.
I like that.
And that's great. That's what it needs to do. And it's only episode 1 where episode 1 feels like it could, like, it feels like a pitch. It feels like a pilot. You know, it does feel like hey, this could be just like its own little, like, I could see the first episode of Life is Strange, like, if you cut out all the rest of the context, like, being like a short story.
Okay.
You know, like something that's like in the New Yorker or something like that, where it's just like, story of this girl who learns that she can move time and saves this person's life, and that's the end of the story. You know, and like, it could be that. But it's really laying threads for all these other things that end up kind of creating a much more interesting and personal narrative. And until you have that investment, and until you know more about Max, until you know more about Max and Chloe, and more about Arcadia Bay and all that stuff, you can't be that invested.
Yeah. Also, I would much rather play Life is Strange if Sam and Max were the characters.
If it was exactly the same, but it's just Sam and Max, same voice
actors.
But like exact same
Just like a
dialogue.
dog in a trench coat and a tiny little rabbit.
The dialogue's unchanged. Like, the delivery of the dialogue is the same, but with those voices.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd buy that.
I think more games could stand to just have, like, their protagonists replaced with Sam and Max. Sam and Max as Drake and Sully.
It's just Drake is just the rabbit. Sam is the rabbit, right? And Max is the dog?
No, Sam's the dog and Max is the rabbit.
Yeah, alright, so we just have Sam and he's just like old. And he's just like old Sully.
Yeah.
That would be a fun thing for a game franchise to do, to like do recreations of famous storylines just with like goofy cartoon game characters in the front.
I'd be about it. Oh.
Sam and Max as Batman and Robin.
Sam and Max as Cassandra and Varric in Dragon Age 2.
Oh my god. The sexual tension. Yeah, so I don't know, you got any more thoughts on episodic games?
Not really. It's like, this is a short podcast.
It's a shorter one for us,
But it was like a slow news week and a slow games week. And
yeah. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. Episodic games are what they are, and I would like to see that, like, if you're doing an episodic game, I'd like to see a more concrete release schedule, just in general.
Yeah.
But I get that it sort of buys you time and lets you sell futures on your game.
I think...
If for, like, Life is Strange, if that first episode had, like, nobody liked it, I doubt we would have gotten the rest of them.
Well, okay, so you actually brought something up that made me think, right?
Yeah.
We would have,
Okay.
because Square published it.
Oh, okay.
And that, I think, is the caveat, now that I think about it, is I really just don't think indies should make episodic games, because I don't know if they can always deliver on the promise.
That's
No,
fair.
because, like, we see this with Kentucky Route Zero. Probably another similar example would be Double Fine and Broken Age. You know, where it's like the game only has 2 episodes, and it took them forever to get out the second one because they mismanaged the first one.
Yeah, that was so weird reading, like, Tim Schafer's blog posts about it, where it was like, yeah, we didn't think we were going to get this much money, and we feel, like, obligated to use all of it in game development, and we don't know what to do with all of it.
Yep. I mean, that's a realistic problem, you know? Like, it's unfortunate, like... I like the idea of them being like, hey, we got all this money, let's hire some celebrity voice actors or whatever. But, like, I think, like, the best example I can think of a developer that did that was, like, Shovel Knight, which was when they got way more money than they ever thought they would. They're like, let's just make DLC and put it out for free.
It's hard to do, like, DLC for a narrative-driven game like that, though, you know?
Yeah, you're right, but...
Yeah.
Maybe not DLC, but, like... Would it have been too much for them to instead, like, reinvest that somewhere else in like, you know, like, sound design or something like that? You know, whatever it is, like...
It's weird. I know I was just knocking them for it, but I do like what they did with the money in terms of, like, luxuries for a game. Like, Elijah Wood gives a great performance
No doubt.
in that game. And Jack Black's fun in, like, the one part he's in.
And, like, they're both just good voice actors.
Yeah.
So, like, I respect that choice.
Yeah, I respect the choice. It's just, like...
Not when it stops the second episode for me.
That's fair. It's just, like, that game, it feels so just, like, we had this much story, but this much money, so...
Yeah. And that's the problem. You know, it's like, I was actually having this conversation yesterday with Spaz about, like, the idea of how I feel like tiered development and, like, in the way that's always been, like, classically thought of as, like, AAA is, you know, big budget, big game. But how, like, there are just so many genres where that doesn't apply. Like, what does a AAA story-driven point-and-click whatever fucking kind of game look like? What does a...
Still just Monkey Island.
Yeah, right? Like, that's the thing, man. Or, like a AAA side-scroller. It's like something like Shovel Knight. It's like throwing more money at Shovel Knight doesn't change what Shovel Knight is.
Yeah.
You know, like, so of course the answer was to make more content. And that's not... You can't just be like, we'll just give more story.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it doesn't work that way. But...
While we're on Broken Age, can I discuss the worst thing about Broken Age for a second?
Sure.
It's such a terrible idea for the story-driven game to let you switch on the fly between its two narratives. It destroys any sense of pacing, and it's just like, I don't want to do this boring part. Let me go. Oh nope, we're at the slow part in both stories. It's like, pace it so that you're not at the slow part in both stories. Double Fine.
Yep.
It's like, I get the idea, but don't do that again, please. Anyone ever?
Yeah. That's the thing where I can see the idea behind it, and where they're like, oh, like, agency, like, let you do it at your own pace, but, like, that doesn't work in a story. Like, that works when you're talking about something that, like, if it's, like, an open world game where there's thousands of narrative threads, and you taking them at your own pace does give you a sense of, like, agency, where it's like, that's not going to happen in a game where the entire thing is dialogue.
Oh, I'm Michael Franklin Trevor planning the heist. I can do that in whatever order I want, and that's still agency. Not, I'm Elijah Wood and the other kid in Broken Age.
Right. Or, like, the idea of, like, a game like The Witcher or Skyrim, where it's like, I can pick whatever story I feel like engaging and progressing. Right. Where it's like, you are still picking something and doing it. You know, and there's a pace that's set by you making a choice.
Right.
Not, like, just being like, well, I'm bored with this part of the game, let me go do the other half.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, hey, no, I'm with you. It's not a great idea.
I'd like to see episodic games used in, like, other places or other genres. Like, it'd be fun to see, like, an episodic Mario game.
Like an episodic game that's not story-driven?
Yeah. Just, like, every week you get a new 3-level section of this Mario game.
I mean, they tried to do that with Sonic the Hedgehog 4, if you remember that.
I vaguely remember that. I remember it not being great.
It wasn't. It also wasn't bad.
Yeah.
But it was just like, hey, like, you get, like, a bite-sized, like, you know, it's like you get Sonic, it was like Sonic 4 Part 1, Sonic 4 Part 2, and each one was, like, about, like, I think a quarter of the game or something like that, and I think they did, like, or maybe it was 3, maybe they did 3 episodes or something. Novel idea at the time. Wasn't super well executed, but nothing Sega does is. Unless it's an Atlas game. So, yeah, I'm with you. I can see that being a cool thing. That's our thoughts. That's all I got.
Yeah, I think we're actually out of stuff to say.
Yeah, episodic games, love them or hate them, we want to see more of them. So if you guys like this video, please give it a like, share it with a friend, and subscribe to Slack&Slash's YouTube channel if you haven't already. And visit us next Monday for another episode of the Slackcast. And, come back tomorrow for a fucking Let's Play. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're playing. It'll be something good. Bye!